The future of Wizard101's most popular spells is more unclear than ever before. Y'all, I'm talking about AOEs, hits that affect everyone on the field and what they're gonna become in the future. Now, if you've been living under a rock, there's been a lot of drama around this. The community has had a fairly explosive reaction to the one change that AOEs did get in test round. Now, this change has since been reverted because, I guess, of everyone's reaction. But basically, the change was they added a Spellman path to every AOE like Meteor Strike, Blizzard, Humongo Frog, like the 4-pip ones. And while the regular one that we're all used to by now would have been no PvP, there was another version that would split the damage of the AOE evenly based on the number of people on the field. And obviously people had a lot of things to say about this, right? That means in a battle with 4, mobs, like you would actually have the option of splitting a Meteor Strike in 4 and hitting all of them instead of just hitting all of them with a full powered meteor. Dividing damage is clearly not popular, but at the end of the day, they did this because AOEs are extremely OP. Now, the reasoning for the changes in test run was actually explained by the devs in the Discord that everyone has access to, the test run one, and they basically explained that the idea behind this was to actually gauge the community's reaction and also experiment with what could be one potential change to AOEs. I also found their explanation of why they found AOEs to be OP to actually be very convincing to me, and this was basically what they said. They basically did the math on this, and the basic idea is that AOEs are essentially even more powerful than shadow enhanced spells simply because they do the same amount of damage regardless of how many people are on the field. And the conditional for them doing extra damage over and over is just the fact that there's more people in the field, right? The best way to explain this, right? Let's say that I have a 5-pip Tempest. That's doing 400 base damage. Just by having 2 people that I'm using this against, this now does double the damage, right? That it initially would have done. If there's 3 people, now this has a value of 1200 when I have 5 pips. And this really goes against everything that they've been doing in designing the game recently, right? If you are gonna earn extra value off of a spell, there better be a conditional that you're taking advantage of. For example, right, Minotaur, if you use it against someone with no shields, it is a pretty weak hit for 5 pips. But you use it against someone with 3 shields, it clears those shields and turns them into 35 traps, and voila, you've gained way more than 5 pips out of that spell. And I have a feeling that AOEs earning the damage that they currently do not earn is probably going to be the direction that they end up going one way or another. What would earning the conditional damage, maybe look like? Like maybe Meteor Strike could do I don't know, 150 damage AOE to everyone base, but it could get up to the 300 and 350 that we know based on if the opponent that it's hitting has a damage overtime or not, which is a very fire thing to do. We already have a spell like that where basically it does Sunbird, it does extra damage if your opponent has an overtime. Why can't Meteor Strike work like that so that you can actually earn a lot more damage than the 4 pips that it's worth? And considering they've already rolled out Spellements, I feel like this could be a very easy way to do this while also not changing how the game is played that much. Now, the big takeaway that I still think that people are maybe not understanding, or maybe I'm not doing a good job explaining, but the devs have said this would only affect advanced content, meaning this would only affect team PvP, raids, that type of stuff, the challenge modes. I think raids and PvP are pretty self-explanatory how a no PvP version of a spell and a PvP version of the spell would affect you. But let's say that you don't even do PvP or raids, right? You're an average player. How would this change actually affect you? Let's say they added a no PvP sign on AOEs that work like this, right? Hits that do the same thing to all enemies. And they added a Spellman path that maybe did extra damage with a conditional but lower damage base. How this would affect anyone who didn't do raids or PvP is when they're doing things like the challenge mode version of stuff, right? And they went in, their normal Meteor Strike wouldn't actually work. So as you can see, you can choose between standard combat and challenge combat, and basically the challenge combat has additional tricks and cheats and all of that. But the TLDR is, if you want to just do the standard combat, your gameplay will not be affected by this. I think a lot of people thought that if they put a no PvP symbol on this, that it would greatly affect the way the game is played. I feel like the real reason to be apprehensive is if you want the future of team PvP to be secure, if you think AOEs and raids are particularly important, or if you think various challenge sigils like this one could be extremely affected by not AOE. If you're someone who's interested in team PvP, I feel like it's going to be very different than the team PvP that they used to have, because what it looks like they're going to be doing is instead of one team going first and one team going second, they're probably going to do what they do in Beast Moon, because that would be the thing that makes the most sense balance-wise. They've already added turn-based to ranked 1v1. Why would they not add Snake Order? That's what it's called, to team PvP. And if you're unfamiliar with how Snake Order works in Beast Moon, basically, let's say the two 3v3 teams would go against each other. Right now, because there's no turn-based in team PvP, if a team goes first, they get 3 actions, and then the next team gets 3 actions. But how Snake Order would work, right? The first person on one of the 3v3 teams would go first, and then the first person on the other 3v3 team would then go. And in that situation, yes, AOEs could be extremely useful, especially if they're conditional based and you get the condition, yada yada. But if you've done, like, you know, Beast Moon, you'll know this, right? Very, very often, it's not really about how you AOE. Sometimes in Snake Order, it's about the single hits. Single hits will matter a lot more in team PvP than AOEs ever did if they add that turn order. And that's something that I think a lot of people that are mad about the future of team PvP, I think they're forgetting about that too. Another big piece of debate that I've seen a lot is the source of these Spellements. These are gatekept essentially behind Beast Moon. I think gatekeeping is a weird word because it is literally free to play and anyone can do Beast Moon. But honestly, if they do add like a Spellement version of this that's actually like necessary for advanced combat for certain strategies, it's gonna be a real reason to do Beast Moon. I don't know how much I think I want to do Beast Moon for these specifically. I guess I'll know when they actually add Spellements that are worth farming for. Right now, you just gain like, I don't know, 30 damage. This isn't really worth doing Beast Moon for alone. But if they add other Spellament pads to balance this out in advanced combat, I might be down to do it, but that might be a point of controversy. Do you guys think that Beast Moon is like a good source for these Spellements when they do roll these out in the future? All in all, there are a couple of things I'm sure of. I do think AOEs are pretty much like very powerful, maybe too powerful when it comes to things like team PvP and advanced combat. The second thing I know is if you're a casual player, these should not be affected, and it doesn't look like they will be. But the thing that I'm unsure about is how do you make it so that you can balance these spells, but not make it so different from the regular version of the spell that it just feels like, you know, some different language for someone who's trying to be a casual player but go into other forms of content. I'm gonna be honest, their little split damage solution that they did in Test Realm, even if it mathematically made sense, I think it felt foreign to me compared to how I used to use AoE. And that's coming from someone who has played this game with these for years and years and years. That's why I really think they should do something where the base version of this AoE still affects everyone like it usually does, and there's other ways to raise damage. It doesn't have to be a conditional, but something, you know, something where, you know, like you can do something to unlock its full potential, but it has a weaker base form that is just like a normal AoE. It hits everyone just the same. Could that be balanced? I really don't know, because no matter how you do the math, an AoE will always gain and extract extra value depending on how many people it hits. And that's genuinely the problem that they were trying to solve, I think, as they said in the Discord server. And I think the complicated nature of balancing these spells is exactly why the future of them is so uncertain and why so many people have so many opinions. With that being said, I'd love to hear y'all's opinions. What do you guys think about the future of AoEs? What do you guys think they're gonna do to them? And also, how do you guys think the player should be able to acquire the Spellements for these when they do roll out different Spellament pads? I look forward to reading all of y'all's comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a separate video, and as always, if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome, y'all. See y'all soon, and yeah.